First, I want you to read the formula.
Avijja paccaya sankhara, sankhara paccaya vijnana, vijnana paccaya namarupa, namarupa paccaya salayatana, passo, passa paccaya vedana, vedana paccaya anga, anga paccaya upadana, upadana paccaya bhavo, bhava paccaya jati, jati paccaya jara marana, sukha bhavideva dukkha domanasuyaya sambhavanti vivamita kevalasa dukkha khandasa samudayo hotu.
We will always begin the class with the recitation of this formula. So I want you to get it by heart. So today's link is number 2. So that is Sankhara Paccaya Vijnanam. This link is important and it is interesting, and also maybe there are many questions. And it is the link where the condition means really the productive cause. So sankharas are productive of vijnana in this link.
Hôm nay thì chúng ta
So this link means because there are sankharas as condition, there arise vijnana. Now I think you know what sankharas are. Formations of merit, formations of demerit, and formations of imperturbable. So in reality, they are just volition or cetana concomitant with wholesome and unwholesome types of consciousness. In other words, they are karma. Vijnana. Vijnana is translated as consciousness. So the word vijnana here is a synonym for the familiar word citta, C-I-T-T-A. So citta and vijnana are synonymous, and here vijnana means citta, which is translated as consciousness. How many types of consciousness are there? In 89 types of consciousness. Are all 89 types of consciousness represented by vijnana here? No. So in order to understand that, you have to understand the 4 divisions of consciousness. So there are consciousness that are called wholesome, and there are consciousnesses that are unwholesome, and then there are consciousness that are result of past karma, and there are types of consciousness that are functional. So functional consciousness means actually the same as the wholesome consciousness, but they lack the power to give results. So they are called functional. So there are 4 kinds of consciousness: wholesome, unwholesome, resultant, and functional. Out of these 4, only the resultant consciousness are taken here, because vijnana is the result of sankhara, karma. Now, are we to take all resultant types of consciousness here, or are we to take just a few? Now, in some books written by modern authors, it is said that only the rebirth consciousness or relinking consciousness is meant here. But actually, according to Visuddhimagga, all resultant consciousness, all types of resultant consciousness are to be taken here. For our purpose here, let us divide a life into two parts. The first part would be just the very first thought moment of that life. And the second part would be the rest of the life. So the first part we will call relinking, and the rest we will call just life continuum. The resultant types of consciousness, there are those that arise only in life and not at relinking moment. And there are others that arise both in life and at relinking moment. For example, seeing consciousness. Seeing consciousness is a result of a past karma. When you see something good or something beautiful, then that seeing consciousness is the result of past good karma. When you see something bad, something ugly, something undesirable, the consciousness seeing that object is the result of the bad karma in the past. And that seeing consciousness arises only in life and not at the relinking moment. Just as the seeing consciousness, so also the hearing consciousness, smelling consciousness, tasting consciousness, touching consciousness, they also arise only in lifetime and not at the moment of relinking. As they are the result of past karmas, which are sankhara, they should be taken under the head consciousness here. So, by vijnana, we mean not only those types of consciousness which arise at the moment of relinking, but also those which arise during lifetime. So we have to take all 32 types of mundane resultant consciousness as vijnana here, not just the relinking consciousness only. There are some details given in the commentary as to which sankhara gives rise to which vijnana. But if you do not know the different types of consciousness, it will not be easy for you to follow. So I will skip that section on finer details. The subject of dependent origination is a very difficult one. Even the commentator Buddhaghosa was a little hesitant when he began to write a commentary on that subject. And he said, when I try to write a commentary on the subject, I do not get a foothold. So I was as though plunged into the ocean. So the ocean is so deep that you cannot have a foothold. So it is so deep, it's so difficult that even the great commentator felt some hesitancy when he tried to write the commentary. Such a celebrated commentator was hesitant when he was going to write a commentary on it. What of us? We are just tiny little beings compared with the great commentator. So it's a very difficult subject and difficult to understand and difficult to explain it to other people. But I will try my best to explain as much as I know. And if I cannot make you understand, this is my fault, and not the fault of the books. In this link between sankharas and vijnana, sankharas belong to one life, and vijnanas belong to the next life. If sankharas belong to this life, then vijnana belongs to the next future life. And it is important to understand how these two factors are related, and how the sankharas produce vijnana as result in the next life. And so it is necessary to understand how death takes place in one life and then rebirth in another life. And that is a very difficult subject, and as I said before, difficult to understand and difficult to explain. Now let us suppose this portion is past life, and this portion is the present life. Now, in this past life, let's say this is the last thought moment in that past life. And this last thought moment is what we call death. So when death takes place, this consciousness arises. And this is the last consciousness or the last thought moment in this life. Previous to this last moment, there are 5 thought moments that are very important. And these 5 thought moments, between these 5 thought moments and the last moment, there may be some other thought moments, or there may be no thought moments intervening between these two. Now, when a person is nearing his death, he has become weak both in physical body and in his mind, and he may not even see things at that time, but he still has the consciousness in him. And when death approaches, one of the 3 objects will present itself to his mind. And these 3 are, one called karma, and 2 sign of karma, and 3 sign of destiny. Karma means just good or bad karma he did in the past. And sign of karma means some things that he uses when he performs that karma. For example, if the karma is offering, then the person who accepts his offering and the things he offered and other circumstances are called sign of karma. So they are supportive elements in the performance of that karma. Destiny means sign of his future life. So if he is going to be reborn as a human being, the sign would be the wall of his mother's uterus. If he is going to be born in hell, then hellfires and the torturers will be the sign of destiny. If he is going to be reborn in celestial world, then the celestial nymphs and the celestial buildings, mansions and so on will be the sign of destiny. So one of these three presents itself to his mind when this person is approaching his death. That karma presents itself to his mind, because we cannot go through all three. So let us take just karma. So now karma presents itself to this man's mind. So this is the object of his consciousness, moments of consciousness here until this. So this karma, he sees in his mind as though he were doing that karma afresh at that moment. So it is something like renewed at that time. So when that karma is vivid in his mind, then there arise these moments of consciousness. So these moments of consciousness take this karma as object. Actually, the other thought moments before them also take this karma as object. So, but since these are important here, we will say that these 5 thought moments arise taking that karma as an object. These 5 thought moments, there arises this thought moment, this consciousness, which is death consciousness. Immediately after death arises a type of consciousness in the next life. So if we take this as a past life, then it is present life. So in this present life, the first consciousness arises. So there is no interval of time between death consciousness in the past life and relinking consciousness in present life. So this relinking consciousness immediately follows the death consciousness. This consciousness is called relinking consciousness or rebirth consciousness. Relinking means joining consciousness. If it doesn't arise, then there would be no present life. So it sort of joins these two lives together or something like that. So it is called the joining thought moment, relinking thought moment, or relinking consciousness. And it is called also rebirth consciousness. And this rebirth consciousness or relinking consciousness is one of the resultant consciousness, resultant type of consciousness. And this is actually, in this example, the result of the karma which this person did in the past. So this karma produces this consciousness. So this consciousness is the product or the result of this karma. So this is sankhara and this is vijnana. So sankhara paccaya vijnana. So sankhara is in the past life and vijnana is in the present life. If it is present life, then it is future life, next life. And when this relinking consciousness arises, it takes this karma as object. So this consciousness takes the object of these 5 moments, the object of these 5 moments as its object. So the object of these 5 moments and the relinking consciousness are the same. Now, the karma is so powerful that it produces the resultant consciousness, not just this one, but it produces resultant consciousness all through the life, unless there are some active thought moments intervening. So all through our lives, this consciousness arises many times and then interrupted by active thought moments like seeing, hearing, and so on, and then the resultant moments, a series of resultant moments, and then active thought moments, and so on and so on. So until death, the resultant consciousness is produced many times in one life. So let us call these moments the identical with this consciousness, the many thought moments, as inactive. There are other thought moments like seeing, hearing, and so on. Let us call them active moments. So the series of inactive moments and active moments arise one after another until one comes to death again. Yeah. So this is the end of this present life. So this is the end of this present life, and this is the end of the past life. So they are death consciousness. So until that time, the inactive consciousness, a series of inactive consciousness arise again and again and again. A different name for this inactive consciousness during life. So the first consciousness is called what? Relinking consciousness. But the others are not called relinking because they don't function as a relinking, but they are called life continuum. That means they are factors of life. If they do not arise, life would have ended. So they are factors of or causes for life. So they are called in Pali bhavanga. So it is translated as life continuum. So because of them, life continues on and on and on. At the end of this present life, this consciousness arises as a death consciousness. So you see, in one given life, the relinking consciousness, the inactive life continuum consciousness, and death consciousness are the same, identical. This identical consciousness arises as inactive, life continuum, and also this identical consciousness arises at the end as death consciousness. So in one given life, the relinking, the life continuum, and the death consciousness are one and the same type of consciousness arising again and again. In active life continuum consciousness and this death consciousness are caused by this karma, the same karma. Now, there is one problem. We say that these thought moments are very important. If these thought moments are wholesome thought moments, then the rebirth consciousness will be a good consciousness, right? You will be reborn in a good existence. If these are akusala consciousness, unwholesome consciousness, then you will be reborn in hell or something like that, right? So we say these are very important. Then now we have two karmas, right? The karma which is the object of these five consciousness for this resultant consciousness. This or this? This one? This one? then if it is responsible for this, what is the use of doing this karma? We don't need to do karma long before we die. We just need to do something when we are approaching death. Right? Then if this is responsible, then what is the use of this? We don't need to have good or kusala consciousness at that time, because anyway it is going to give result, as good or bad, right? So there is that dilemma here.
Thì mình đọc
In the commentaries, it is explained that karma at these moments make or influence this relinking consciousness to take this as an object. So this consciousness takes this object as the object because it is influenced by the by karma during these moments. So what is responsible for the arising of this consciousness is this karma, and these karma at these moments is responsible for it in taking this as the object. Now, it is like one man blindfolds you and the other turns you towards, say, a precipice or a cliff, and the last one pushes you down. Something like that. When there is this karma as object, when the person dying is seeing this object in this mind, the avijja conceals the danger of this object, and tanha makes the consciousness inclined towards the object. And this karma at these 5 moments make this take or hold on to that object, like pushing him down. So in the commentaries, the word used is throwing down. So they throw down the relinking consciousness onto the object. So this is the karma at these 5 moments that make the relinking consciousness take that object. But the arising of this is responsible, caused by karma in the past. So they are. This is supportive and this is productive. So it supports the karma here. When this is a good karma, then they are also good, and when it is a bad karma, they are also bad karma. They are also bad. Along with this relinking consciousness, also arise mental factors, and some matter. So what we call rebirth is just consciousness, resultant consciousness, mental factors going along with it, and some matter, and that is meant for the human beings and animals and others. So what we call rebirth or relinking is just a group of 2. Rupa, right? Matter is rupa, and mental factors and consciousness are nama. So what we call rebirth is just nama and rupa. So when this nama and rupa arises here, then in conventional usage we say this person has transmigrated to another life. This person is reincarnated in another life. So we use those expressions because we live in the conventional world, and so we cannot avoid using those. But in actuality, nothing, no minor matter from this life is transferred to the next life. As a result of this karma, they just arise here. So they are not something that continues from the past life. So they are, let's say, they arise anew in this life. Or rebirth or relinking is just a group of two. Rupa, right? Matter is rupa, and mental factors and consciousness are nama. So what we call rebirth is just nama and rupa. So when this nama and rupa arises here, then in conventional usage we say this person has transmigrated to another life. This person is reincarnated in another life. So we use those expressions because we live in the conventional world, and so we cannot avoid using those. But in actuality, nothing, no minor matter from this life is transferred to the next life. As a result of this karma, they just arise here. So they are not something that continues from the past life. So they are, let's say, they arise anew in this life. They are not unconnected with the past karma and so on. It is very difficult to understand this. This is a Buddhist explanation of rebirth without a permanent soul or a permanent entity or a being going from one place to another. So nothing from this life goes over to the next life. So what arises in the next life is just a new mind and matter. But it is the result of the karma in the past. So it has connection as result to the past karma. So it is, we cannot say that it is totally new, not connected in any way with the past. And we cannot say that it is the same one which passes on to another life. So neither the one nor the other. So that we have to understand. So the relinking or the rebirth in the present life is the result of the karma in the past. Now when you know this, would you say that rebirth is caused by death here? Would you say that? No. Rebirth is caused by the karma in the past. It is very important because many people wrote that way. The death gives rise to rebirth or death determines the rebirth. Actually, what determines the rebirth is not the death immediately before it, but the karma here and the karma there. So it is important to understand this. If it is a condition, the death consciousness is a condition for the arising of relinking consciousness, it is in the form of giving place to another person. In order for you to sit in this seat, I will give up this seat, I will vacate this seat. So in that case, I am a condition for you to be here. So in that case, death consciousness is a condition for rebirth consciousness. Because if death consciousness does not disappear, rebirth consciousness cannot arise. So it is only in that way that death consciousness and rebirth consciousness are related as condition and what is conditioned. But actually the productive cause of this rebirth is the karma here, and not the death consciousness. So it is difficult to understand when we say he is neither the identical person nor the totally different person. So there are some analogies given in the commentaries, and I think you remember those analogies. Now the first one is the echo. So you shout into a cave and your voice comes back. Actually, the voice that comes back is not your voice. It is an echo. It is another voice caused by your voice. But that echo does not come about without your voice here. So the echo is not identical with your voice, nor is it a totally different voice without any connection with the voice you made. So this is one simile. The second simile is a lamp. You have a lamp and there is a flame, and then another person comes and lights his lamp from your lamp. So the flame on his lamp, is it the flame of your lamp? No. But does it come about totally unconnected with your flame? No. So the flame he has is neither your flame nor a totally disconnected thing with your flame. So in the same way, the person who is said to be reborn there is neither the person here nor a totally new, totally disconnected person. Can you give me another example?
Picture.
Picture?
The one person.
You're young. The picture when you are young.
Oh. Yes. So he's not the same person and not a different person, right? So, very good.
Sư mới hỏi là
Here's your shadow on the mirror. So you look at the mirror and there is the image of yourself on the mirror, and that image is not you, and that image is there not totally disconnected with you. So if you are not there, there would be no image. But the image is not you. If it is you, and I will hit the image and you will be hit. And one more example. Stamp. You put the stamp, seal. So the impression is not the seal, but there is an impression because there is a seal. So impression is not the seal, and it is not totally disconnected with the seal. So the teaching of our elders, hearers, is that every moment there is new mind and matter arising and disappearing, arising and disappearing. And especially with one life and another, nothing is transferred to the other life. But what arises there is the result of what we did in the past. So there is some kind of connection, although there is no identity.
Và sư nói theo
Commentary is explained in another way. Now, since there is the sequence or continuity of arisings of mind and matter, say one after another, there is no absolute identity, nor there is absolute diversity or otherness. So no absolute identity and no absolute diversity. So we have to be in the middle. So neither one nor the other.
và
Commentary gives an example here too. If you say there is complete identity, absolute identity, then the curd, like, what do you call that? C-U-R-D, curd. The curd will not come out of milk. Tofu, not tofu. We take every morning. What do you call that? I forgot that.
cheese, yogurt.
Yogurt, yeah. So yogurt is made from milk, right? So if we say there is complete identity, then milk will never become yogurt. And if we say there is complete diversity, complete otherness, then yogurt will have no connection with milk. So in the same way, if we say there is complete identity, then there will be what you call no rebirth from the cause here. And if we say there is complete diversity, then these two will be totally disconnected. Now commentary gives some questions, tough questions, and he also gives the answers. So the first question is, if no transmigration is manifested, if we do not accept transmigration, then after the cessation of aggregates in this human person, that means in this life, after the cessation of aggregates, the result could be another person's result, because the aggregate sees here, right? And the one that we say reborn there is a different person. But in that case, the result may be for another person. And since the karma, that is a condition for the result, does not pass from this life to that life, the result there may be caused by any other cause. So that is the question. The five aggregates cease here. So the result may be to another person, to a different person. And karma also ceases here. Karma does not go over to next life actually. That does not exist. So that result may be caused by not this particular karma, but may be caused by another karma. How's that? Now, the absolute identity and absolute diversity are denied here. So, in that case, there can be no question of the result going to another person or caused by another cause or another process. And the commentary gives an example of planting a tree. So when you plant a tree, first you put the seed, you put a particular seed, and then there is a process of planting or growing it. So you may put some particular fertilizers, or you may put something and so on. And so when it grows into a tree and it bears fruit, then this fruit is actually the result of that seed, although that seed is not present at the time the fruit is produced. And that tree and fruit are there because of that process of growing, not of other process of growing, not of other way of growing, but because of that particular way of growing. Because there is what is called continuity or sequence of events. So in the same way here also, there is this continuity, and so we cannot say that the result would be another person's result, or the result is caused by another reason, another cause. So the next question is connected with the first one. If there is no one to experience the result, say no person to experience the result, then whose result it is? If there is no experiencer, whose result is the result? The answer is, when, say for example, a tree, when the fruits are there, then we just say that the tree has given fruit. So, when happiness or sorrow arises as a result of past karma, we just say that this man is happy or this man is unhappy. And this is just a conventional usage, because in actuality there is just the happiness or sorrow, and no person to experience it. Just the existence of happiness or sorrow, we say, for that reason we say that this person is sorry or this person is happy. So this is just a conventional usage, that we say he is happy or he is unhappy. But actually, what is true is just there is happiness or there is unhappiness. One more. Now, you see that the sankharas are the cause of, say, vijnana. Are the sankharas caused when they are existing or when they are not existing? Are the causes of the fruits when they are existing? Then it follows that they must produce the results the very moment they arise. And if they produce results when they are not existing, then it follows that results would be produced even before or after the arising of the sankharas, of the causes. And there would be the arising of causes every time. So that is the question. Do they produce their results when they are existing or when they are not existing? If you say when they are existing, then they must produce the results at the very moment they arise, not at some other time. And if you say they are not existent when the results are produced, then the results must be produced anytime, even before the cause arises. Tough question, huh? So what's the answer? The commentary says, they produce results because they mean sankharas and karmas. They produce results because they were performed, because they were done, not because they are existing or they are not existing. And it gives a simile here also. Suppose say you guarantee for something. Let's say you guarantee for another person. Say I will pay for him. Simply because you undertake to pay, that is paying. And after you have paid, then you don't have to pay again because you have paid. So at the time of paying, your guaranteeing is no more. But simply because you have guaranteed, you pay. So you pay not because guaranteeing is at that moment existing or not existing. You pay simply because you made the guarantee. And once you have paid, you have done it, and so you don't have to pay again. In the same way, once the result has been given, then the karma has spent its potential, and so no more results.
Thì cái câu